Cities closer to the border are bracing for a surge of migrants as well. There's a really big caravan making its way through Mexico, about 2,000 people participating, hoping to reach the U.S. in the coming days. This deployment coming just weeks after, or before, the presidential election, as immigration has been a key issue and continues to be for so many. Former Border Control Chief Ron Vitiello is with us now. He's also the former acting director of the Customs and Border Protection, along with being a former ICE director. What do you make of this caravan and the timing of it going into the election?
Well, it's probably manufactured. It's somebody in the organized crime level, or maybe one of these cartels that said, hey, this is the time to come. There's also an interest of the would-be illegal migrants that are coming, that they think that things are going to change potentially after the election. So they're trying to get ahead of that. But what it does for all of us, it forces us to realize what the policy has been, what it is now, and what it might be under a future presidency if there's a change. And so that makes people wonder and worry, and the cartels are always going to take advantage of these situations. And so the people in the pipeline are at risk. And let's face it, your previous story here, all of us are at risk for the impacts and the effects and the burdens that thousands and thousands, upwards of 10 million people who have come into the United States in less than 4 years. What
are the challenges, Ron, embedded in a group this size heading to the border for Border Patrol as they prepare for it?
Well, they have to be ready with regard to the what they call wraparound services, the soft-sided facilities. Large influx of children, people who don't speak either English or Spanish. Agents speak both, and so they have to accommodate for that. And then just the large numbers coming all at once, the care and sometimes medical, et cetera, like that. So they're preparing for this. This is not something they haven't seen before. It remains to be seen what Mexico will do with people as they're transiting, because they have been helping in, not sort of a consistent way, but there's more that they can do to share the responsibility for this flow and protect people, right? Because you have this massive flow like that. People are being exploited. Young women, women in total are being trafficked, and the smugglers and the cartels and the coyotes are going to take advantage of them. So Mexico could obviously do more, and we got to get our policies right on the U.S. border. Right now, it favors releases in the United States. That's why these people are coming. That's what your previous story talked about. They're being let in massive numbers. And you add 30% to any population, whether it's a border community or a city in America, it's going to have an impact, and most of it negative.
The race for the White House has focused so much of the campaign has been on immigration and what to do about it in the next 4 years. Where do you begin, no matter who is elected, to address what we're seeing with the influx?
Well, we have to adhere to the rule of law. People who come to the border and enter illegally, whether they're claiming asylum or not, they're supposed to be detained so they can get a hearing with an immigration judge. That's not happening now. They're being released into the United States. The previous administration allowed people to wait in Mexico for their due process opportunity. So if you end the cycle of releases in the United States, you apply a consequence to the illegal activity, you're going to get less of it. So make the problem smaller, give the front line the tools that they have and know how to use to protect us all, to secure the border, make the traffic less, and then you can start to talk about how to adjudicate those cases in a humane and expeditious way.
In the interim, they're showing up in places like Logansport, Indiana. How hard is it once they start to spread out throughout the country in big and small cities to keep track of who has come in and what they're doing?
It's extremely difficult. We know from the history of immigration enforcement in the interior that people are allowed to come into the United States under sometimes a specious asylum claim, and they don't want to be found by authorities after that. So previous to all these sanctuary cities in the United States, people who got arrested were the majority of people who were then deported for being in the country illegally. So like now you're upwards of 10 million in the last 3 years. It's going to be a very difficult challenge to remove those people if and when you can find them.
Right. All right, Ron Vitiello, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.